Hello everyone and welcome to the Deployment Research YouTube channel and our first episode of ConfigMas 2024. My name is Johan Arvidmark and in this session I will show you my highlights of what was new or what is new in ConfigMgr 2409, which was released just shortly before Christmas here. And that means, of course, demo time. First of all, here are the release notes for the 2409 release, and of course I will share the link in the description below. But if I jump over to my ConfigMgr console, you can see I actually have, if I go here, two different versions of 2409. And this is because I initially installed the early ring. ConfigMgr 2409 has been released twice, early ring and slow ring. If you did upgrade early on, I highly recommend that you update to the slow ring. This is the version you want to be at as of now, because that one has some critical bug fixes, for example, for CM Pivot in ConfigMgr. Other cool things that was changed in 2409 is that when you do searches in the global search, you can now specify which workspace you want to limit that search to. So if I go here and search for ARM, it will show me my ARM boot images, my ARM driver packages, my software updates for ARM, etc. And of course also reduces the time it will take to do this global search. Other changes Microsoft did was that when you renew your applications or your secret keys for applications, so if you go to your tenants here, and I can right click this one, renew secret key, you now have the option of specifying the expiry date for it. So in production environment, probably shorter values, but in a lab environment, you may want to use some of the higher values here. So that is of course helpful. Now, if I go back to the release notes, few things worth mentioning. There is no support for SQL 2012 or 2014. Now, you shouldn't be in those versions anyway. You should have upgraded long time ago, but now it won't even allow you to upgrade if you are on any of those versions. Also worth mentioning, they added support for Windows 11 24H2, not just as something that you can deploy using ConfigMgr, but also have the client running on, and also you can now have your site system roles on Server 2025 if you want to. Other things that are useful, worth mentioning for ARM devices is that you now have BitLocker support as well as software metering. And I expect that in 2025 we will see more and more Windows on ARM devices being made available for organizations or organizations starting to buy them more than I had before. So nice to see that support in ConfigMgr. Scrolling down here, awesome security enhancements for Cloud Management Gateway. That is welcome. And there are something that made me quite sad. I knew it was coming, but Microsoft did announce officially now the deprecation of the MDT integration in ConfigMgr. The deprecation is now in December, and the plan is to end support in October next year. It doesn't mean that the VB scripts that you may have been using will stop working, but what Microsoft recommends you doing is that if you go to your sequences and you have sequences that is using the MDT template, and you can recognize those templates because not only are they quite long by default, but they also have these actions that when you click them, they have a little bit of a Microsoft.com//MDT in the bottom. That's how you can recognize that there is an action coming from that template. So Microsoft recommends that you move away from this, claiming that continuing to use this past the end of support may cause problems with your sequences. So unfortunately, MDT is going away, but it's not too bad of a work to migrate away from it. I've done that for a few customers already. Sure, we had to spend a few hours or rather days with it, but it's not too bad. All right. Something that was not mentioned in the release notes is also there are some critical bug fixes. Some of those were addressed in an earlier roll-up. For example, if you guys were using branch cache together with a cloud management gateway, you could often see that in the, let me go to a client here, in the data transfer service log, you will get 500 errors from IIS if branch cache and CMG was enabled. Also, you can see that the client were crashing more frequent than others. So, as I mentioned, that was addressed in the rollup, and that was also added in now in 24.09. But even more shiny, as I call it, if you have a cloud management gateway, Microsoft fixed the peering. So, if you have an office where, say for example, that you do not have a WAN link to a distribution point, and instead you want to grab content from a cloud management gateway for that office. Problem here is that, well, every single download you have to pay for. But since peer-to-peer is functional now, content can be shared in between clients, meaning you only have to download once to a machine and pay for that download, obviously, but the other downloads you don't have to pay for. All right, that was a quick summary of ConfigMgr 24.09, the stuff that I liked. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again for another episode. Bye for now. Thank you.